So the so-called Tibetan Book of the Dead is about becoming enlightened through sound. That's what the actual name means, through sound and through hearing in the immediate aftermath after death. And so working with sound is a very, very important part of it. And so these two practices, known as the Poa or the Shitro, are both chanted practices. And so working with sound is a very, very key part to these transformational practices, because we're resonant beings in a resonant universe, and we're a resonant community, or at least if we use our voices together, we become a sonorous resonant community. And so that using sound, using the voice, is an absolutely fundamental way for these transformational practices. And also, one of the other things that I do in the October week is my local church, Hampstead Parish Church, the various vicars through time have done a special Requiem Mass for us. So one evening after the work, we actually are able to use our local parish church, and the vicar does this for us. And we do what is the Western lineage. We do a Requiem Mass, which is in the Christian church, a lot of the liturgy comes down through Egypt. It's, we think of it being Christian, but actually it's the Western tradition. And so we do a Requiem Mass, and my husband, Rupert Sheldrake, plays the organ, and the vicar chants the names of our ancestors that we give him or her, and we light candles, and it's an incredibly beautiful service, and it's a way of allowing people to re-assimilate a Western tradition, even if they aren't Christian, never have been Christian, or if they were disaffected from being Christian, or if they're Buddhist or Hindu or Sufi or Muslim, or whatever tradition they come from. It's a very, very interesting juxtaposition to have this wonderful sung Requiem Mass for our ancestors in the church in the evening of one of the days of the week when we are actually doing a practice for conscious dying. So we remember the ancestors. And one of the things that started me on all of this work was I realized that as soon as you do honor the ancestors, as soon as you remember the ancestors, people's lives changed, because the ancestors are available to then help the living. And if you don't do that, they aren't, and they become kind of nuisance, obstructive, clamorous children in our lives. So this whole field of honoring the ancestors is a hugely important thing to do, and especially at this time in the Western tradition, this is the time that it's done. And so this is the time that I particularly focus on that. And, some of us make ancestral altars even to honor the ancestors. And so this is a very, very important feature of our lives, which is coming back now. When I started doing this, it wasn't, people had forgotten about it. For example, All Souls College in Oxford, for example, was founded for the chanting of the names, honouring the names of the dead. That's why it was so wealthy, because people paid a lot of money to have, that's what a chantry is for. It's where you chant the names of the dead. And so it's a very tricky thing in Christianity, because some people feel that you can't actually pray for the dead, you have to pray for the living. But one of the things that I discovered was it's very important to honour the dead, honour the ancestors, because when our relatives die, we think of them as missing people and how it affects our lives. What we forget is that they've graduated. They've become something much greater. They become an ancestor, and we can have a different kind of dialogue with them, and they can actually help us and our descendants. And so this is something that I particularly focus on in the mandala that I do in London at the end of October.